Hello and welcome to another episode of the Construction Corner podcast. I'm Dylan. I'm your host. Welcome to another episode. Guys, on this episode, I'm going to dive into who you're meant to become in 2024 and beyond. What are you going to do to change yourself, your life, your circumstances, and everything that you are? Can you sustain these changes over the long haul? How do you sustain those changes? And are you disrespecting yourself? We're also going to cover plan, break it down into daily actions. Uh, and that's going to be the basis of this show going into 2024. This time of year, right? As you're hearing this, it's after New Year's, and we've all got big plans, big things we're looking to change, right? And hopefully you've stuck to whatever New Year's resolution you made, as it's already Tuesday. Have you stuck to your plans, your goals, what you set out to do for the upcoming year? And the frame that I want to help put all of this in achieving your goals in years past. There were probably some things that you didn't achieve. I've been in that boat, and this is something that I continually rack my brain about, is not just in setting the goals and setting big goals and being audacious and all that, because you need to do some of that. And I know I've oscillated over the years on, is it setting big goals? Is it setting achievable goals? Is it what type of goals do you set? How do you go about setting them? What are you looking to do to prove throughout this year and beyond? And what I've come to, and this is my current, I guess, thought patterns around it, my current belief in goals and goal setting, is you need to have that big, audacious goal, big, hairy, audacious goal. BHAG, for those of you guys that have read Good to Great, that's what it's called in there. And you do need to have that thing. The other piece of that is that you don't know when you're going to achieve that said big, hairy, audacious goal, right? If you follow me on the internet at all, you see that I post yachts, right? Super yachts, big vessels. Well, those things are worth, used, like the big ones are 100, $200 million. And then it's going to be 20% of whatever you buy them for, is kind of the rule of thumb, that it'll take that to operate it a year. Now, a lot of that depends on how much you're moving it back and forth, all that kind of stuff, right? If you're going from Florida and the Caribbean to Mediterranean and back, like that's a lot of fuel. Plus, you have a big crew. All those kinds of things go into it, to that 20% plus docking fees and whatnot. So if you're buying $100 million yacht and you got to spend $20 million a year, you really need to be having an income like on a decent level of, what would be reasonable for a toy. Probably should be 10%, but even say it's 20%, then your income needs to be 100 million a year. And if you own your firm and you end up taking to home 10% of what the company makes a year as an owner for owner distribution, right? Then you need to be doing $1 billion in revenue a year in order to afford said yacht, right? Like that's just the simple math of the equation. And in all reality, right, you're not going to achieve that goal in a year. You might maybe get there in 5 years, but more than likely you're going to get there in, 10, 15, 20 years. So being realistic in the, yes, setting big goals and big expectations, but really being realistic in the timeline that's going to take to achieve it, right? You can break that down, maybe if you're just starting out for that $1 billion in revenue goal, then on that, you're going to maybe do $1 million next year, right? Or 500,000 or whatever it is that you set out to do, right? You break down that big goal, that big thing of $1 billion in revenue, being a unicorn business, to, what it is you're going to achieve next year. But more importantly is, in order to be the type of person that does $1 billion of revenue a year, who do you have to become in order to achieve $1 billion in revenue, right? What do you have to do? What are the things required to get to that level? What are the services that you have to provide? What are the relationships that you have to make? What are the mental barriers that you have to remove out of yourself? What are the things that you have to stop doing in order to get to where you want to go? Um, those are all the things that I think about, right? You're not, uh, if you look at the majority of billionaires, right, they don't drink or very little. So you're going to have to remove alcohol, drugs from your life, pretty much. Uh, you're going to have a bulletproof mentality. You're going to have to be able to make decisions quickly and decisively for a whole slew of things in your life. You're going to have to form networks and relationships of people and not burn any bridges. Well, what does that mean? That means doing what you say you're going to do, following up on everything that you do, right? Being a man of integrity, being somebody who others look up to, be someone that people feel good about, right? That they want to be around. Um, be somebody that, again, is like mentally bulletproof, does what they say they're going to do, is hard charging, makes decisions, is the man, right? Carries that burden of responsibility, that weight of decisions of people's livelihoods riding on their shoulders, right? And then in going through all these, like those are the things you're going to have to do to become the person who does $1 billion in revenue a year, right? Like, and you start to look across the spectrum, more and more billionaires are being fit, right? Those guys are in good shape. I mean, there's obviously examples like Warren Buffett is not like super fit. He's just been in the game for 70 years, right? Like he has time on his side, and most of his wealth was accumulated after he turned 65, not before. So you look at the younger guys, um, Bezos, Musk, right? Like Bezos is in extremely good shape. Musk, isn't super overweight. He's not like in the best shape in the world. Zuckerberg's now doing jujitsu and all that kind of stuff. So you see more and more folks that are extremely fit, in good shape. You look at like Rogan, right? He's not a billionaire, but he's in extremely good shape. The Rock is in extremely good shape. You're seeing more and more examples of people that have their body in good shape, which makes their mind strong because they go and do things that you don't necessarily want to do, which then translates into you're able to make decisions, you're able to do the things that you don't want to do even though they need to get done. um, so you continue to move forward in those ways. And then the other thing that you'll see with a lot of these successful people is they're able to sustain, uh, really their being, like who they are. The Rock has been the Rock for a long time, right? Like who he is, how he portrays himself, all of that has been fairly consistent for a long period of time. And same with Bezos, Musk. Like Musk is his views have changed, politically for a long time, but from a personal mission vision standpoint, those things have been there for 20, 30 years. I just finished his biography, Elon's biography. And again, like you can see that the X.com stuff was there back in the early 2000s and the early PayPal days. The him going to Mars was right after he sold his Zip2. So a lot of this has been around for a long time, being interplanetary, like all that from Musk has been around for a very, very long time. So can you sustain like that mission, that goal, the work ethic, and like you need to sustain a work ethic and a high level of work ethic. And then there's just like super insane modes and times of extreme work. Elon shows it, Bezos shows it, Buffett shows it. And Buffett is also just consistently like the man reads 500 pages a day. Buffett does. And a lot of that is to find that next great company. That is his job, is to read an insane amount to what is an average person a day. But for him, it is what he does, what he's going to continue to do, and what he'll forever kind of be known for in picking and finding that one company to invest in, make a big bet on. They have the managers and everything else in place to run it, and all he has to do is make that single decision of what company to buy or significantly invest in. So things like that is, for Buffett, that 500 pages a day is sustainable. for Musk and a crazy work ethic and running, 4, 5, 6 companies. For him, it appears to be sustainable. For most people, that would not be. So, what are you going to be able to do that's sustainable? So, in picking these new goals, new changes, like they need to be something that you are able to sustain for long periods of time, right? Like not just the New Year's goal, you do it for 3 months, or 75 hard, you do it for 75 days. Can you do this the rest of your life? That is the question. Can you sustain it for that long? Now, you don't necessarily have to, but having that as your frame of reference to what you look through the lens for everything else is going to help put you in a better mental position as you move forward. And then how do you sustain it, right? So putting, not only can you sustain it, but how do you sustain it? So the beauty of something like 75 hard is that you're able to have a very easy, simple framework that you put fitness, mental clarity, right, and reading, um, hydration, water, all that kind of good stuff that you're able to put in this simple framework that allows you to make it super easy for you to sustain. And so as you do this, right, not only can you sustain it, right, you can sustain 75 hard. How do you sustain it? Well, you continue to use the framework. It's pretty simple. Same with the power list, right? Getting 5 things done a day that move you forward, that aren't just to-do lists, but are kind of big needle movers. Doing that type of stuff will allow you to continue to push that needle forward and allows you to sustain that type of effort for a very long period of time. 5 things is not an insane amount to have on your list to do that move you forward every single day. And so, again, very simple thing to have on your list. So far we've covered who do you need to become, right? What traits do you need to have, right? What personality traits, what skills, what assets do you need to carry with you to be the type of person? And again, in this example, is doing $1 billion in revenue, but it could be to be the best parent, right? It could be to be the best spouse. It could be to be the type of people that people in your community look up to, right? Be that type of person. So whatever it is, right? Figure out whatever it is that you want to become, right? I use the example of $1 billion in revenue because, one of my material goals is to have a yacht. But in that, there's so much more that I have to achieve and get to before that is ever going to be a manifestation into reality, right? I have to be the type of person that can do $1 billion in revenue. I have to be the type of person that contractors and owners want to come and work with on their projects, right? I want to be the type of engineer that people want to hire for their projects. I want to be and have the type of software products that people want to use within their firms and on every single project that they do, right? So there's a lot that goes into that simple statement of being the type of person and having the type of products that people want to use and work with on a daily basis. Very simple statement, much harder to do, right? So what are all the stacks of things that you have to include into that so that you can become that type of person? This is what I've been thinking about in how I move forward. So then when it comes to goal setting and all of that is, okay, so we need to get to $1 billion in revenue, right? For me to have a toy effectively. So then what do you have to do on a daily basis, right? What are the things that ultimately go into building that type of firm? Well, the simplest way to do this, and whatever you want, is to look at basically the funnel and lead flow of your business and organization. So what does it look like to go and get leads, right? In the construction world, what does it look like to go and meet owners or contractors or architects? What does it look like to go and do that in feeding yourself more projects? So how do you meet these people? Where do you meet them? How do you get introductions to the right people that are making decisions within the organization? And then on top of that, okay, so you got a lead, you're showcasing what you can do, you're getting meetings with them, you got that first project with them. Okay, so now how do you simply execute quotes and proposals? How do you simply execute contracts? How do you then once you got a lead, you closed them, you proposed on it, or you got a lead, you proposed on it, you closed it, you got a contract. Then how does the project workflow go, right? From narratives on the project to conceptual design, schematic design, design documents, construction administration, closeout documents, as built. How does all that work, right? That entire process through the project. And then on top of that, how do you recruit, hire, train, retain employees, make that part of your organization really well so they can go out and execute the projects on your behalf as the owner of the company or CEO or operations manager, whatever you might be within the firm. How do you go out and execute this in totality so that you can do more work, bring more people through, go get more leads, cycle everybody through on a better cadence, right? All through that. How do you do that to where it becomes an effective machine where you can hire, train, recruit, retain, reward, all that within your organization? And it's this cycle and improvement ladder for those people in it, right? There's some people that they're just going to want to come in, do their job, work, 9 to 5, and that's it, right? They're happy. Others are more than happy to do more, learn more, move up, improve, get paid more, take on more responsibility, all that kind of stuff. And you have those avenues for all those people in doing whatever it is that they want to do within your organization. So as we look at this and go through the whole process, that's going to be a big piece of it. And then breaking down what that means daily, right? What are 5 things that you could put on your list every single day to move that forward, whether it's getting more leads, whether it's being able to put in the systems and processes within your organization to, whether it's for hiring, training, recruiting, whether it's for operations of putting drawings and documents together, whether it's for closeout submissions, whether it's proposals and narratives, whatever that might be within your organization, to find 5 things that you can do every single day to move yourself forward. And for a little while, it might just be the 5 items on 75 hard. That might be your power list. And then you make 75 hard something that is routine and super easy. So then you move 75 hard. Maybe it's now 3 items on your list and you add 2 business items. And then I've gotten to a place where 75 hard is a single line item, no matter what phase I'm in. And then I have 4 business items. Probably in this next phase, after the end of January, going into February, it'll be, I have the full 5 items on the power list plus 75 hard as a completely separate line item of things. And we continue to move forward there and build on the progress. So that's the way to kind of break it down. But taking that big goal, right? $1 billion in revenue, all the way down to, what's it going to take to do $5 million in revenue next year? What is it on a monthly basis? What is it on a weekly basis for proposals? What is our anticipated win rate? How do we put all of that in place? And then allowing yourself to go forward. And then the last thing that I want to cover in this episode, and you're looking at 2024, and this really hit me hard. So was listening to a podcast of one of my mentors who I've done a good amount of training with, Chad Wright, and he was saying in regards to the 100-mile distance is that a lot of people have disrespected the distance and the race. And it really hit me hard because I've done that in my 3 attempts at 100 miles. I've disrespected the distance. I didn't put the required strength training into my training to enable me to hit that distance. I didn't do the required mental work for my first race in order to get through the night and the difficulties that come up from other people, right? To hard me to whatever anyone else is doing, that is not my issue. I'm going to run my race. So I've disrespected the distance. And in going into my next 100-mile attempt here in March, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to do everything in my power to not disrespect that distance. I've already started 75 hard. We're going to do the training program that's outlined in front of me. I'm started my strength training routines. to increase the strength of my legs, so I'm able to cover that distance more easily than I have in the past. We're going to harden my mind to whatever anyone else is doing. That's their deal. I'm going to run my race at my pace and make sure that I'm hitting my numbers through the race, so that, again, it's all on me, right? I'm not relying on anybody else. I'm not letting anybody else's um, game plan or their execution affect mine. And we're going to move forward through that. So, one of the things that then translates from that 100-mile distance in the race is, are you disrespecting the goal setting and achievement part of hitting that revenue number or that income level that you're looking for, right? Is it realistic in your ability to do it within the next year, right? And some of this is, again, $1 billion is not going to be done in the next year. 100 million is not going to be done in the next year. 50 million is not going to be done in the next year. 20 million is not going to be done in the next year, but five is doable in the next year. 10 would be quite ridiculous, and the amount we'd have to grow would be absolutely insane. But, 1 is very easily doable. 5 is, a very doable number for us and going after engineering work. And then the software side, we're relaunching a lot of our solutions, our products, and we have very different goals there. And we have something that's achievable, but it's more so that don't disrespect the time it takes, the effort that it takes, and to realize that for whatever outcome that you want, right? Let's say that I wanted to hit $10 million in a brand new engineering firm that we're basically starting up. Now that we want to hit $10 million in revenue in 2024. Well, to do that, the amount of effort to go into it, to then get all the projects, to win at the rate that we would do, we would have to come out of the gate with so much more effort. And the thing is, we don't have the infrastructure. So by going after that much work, or attempting to go after that much work, we would be disrespecting our clients and our ability to serve and deliver to them the products that they deserve and that they expect from an engineer. So we would be disrespecting the profession by going that hard in year one. We just don't have the foundations laid to go and do this. We don't have all the systems in place. We don't have all the processes down. While we have a lot of it, we're not bulletproof to do that type of growth. Now, 5 million, very, very doable. Are we going to experience some pain points? We're going to have to still hire like 15, 20 people. So, I mean, it's going to be a tremendous growth year. And then to double that again to 10 million, we'll have to double the amount of people that we'll hire, but then we'll have in place all the pillars to be able to bring in folks to assimilate them. We'll get the office space, all that'll get built out. Like, then we'll have more infrastructure as we move forward. And I think a lot of folks out there are really underestimating the amount of infrastructure you need, the amount of effort that it's going to take. I know I have on this journey. I've totally underestimated the amount of effort that it's going to take, what it really requires, how much goes into it, the amount of systems and processes from just billing go into creating the foundations for your business, right? That you can then plug in other people to take those tasks off your hands, right? From doing accounting, bookkeeping, billing, from doing trainings and executing that type of work, right? To train other folks coming behind you so that they can execute on the work so that you can move to the next phase of the business. And this year is going to be a tremendous build and infrastructure year for us in the engineering company, and really putting emphasis on doing that so that we can help others move forward in what they're needing to do. So, closing this podcast out, welcome to 2024. Welcome to a new year, a fresh start, a reset on hitting and setting your goals. But number one is making sure that you know who you need to become, or have an idea of who you need to become to hit the goals that you're looking to achieve. Number two is, what are you going to change, right? And do this incrementally, do this with intention, do this with intensity, right? Have the right intent, be uh, very extreme in your diligence in chasing this, be extreme in your intensity around this, be in a hurry in a lot of ways to change it, right? Like focus on it, be intense about it, but know it's also going to take time, right? But put that effort in and work through a lot of these, because again, in my journey, this has taken a lot more time than I ever thought. It's taken a lot more work than I ever thought. But at the same time, it's been extremely rewarding in the things that I've learned, both about myself, the journey, the industry, as I've gone through it. And then in those changes, can you sustain those changes, right? Don't make changes that are um, totally unsustainable, but also give yourself the ability to see if they're not sustainable, right? Go 75, 90 days in doing the thing, and then you'll see how sustainable it is or it isn't, right? I think far too often people give up way too early in a lot of this. They don't give the required effort towards it, and it really hurts. And then how do you sustain it, right? Put a system in place so that you're able to continue to sustain that over the long haul. It's going to be super helpful in having a system around it. Powerless, 75 Hard are two great tools for you in this. And then break it down, right? Have that big, hairy, audacious goal, but break it down into what does it take on a monthly, weekly, daily basis in order for you to execute. And then on top of that, don't disrespect yourself, the goal that you're trying to achieve, the industry, the race, whatever you're trying to go after. Don't disrespect it. Give it the respect that it deserves. Put in the effort, do the required work to get there and achieve that goal, and that'll help to set you up for success. But a lot of planning, a lot of effort, a lot of upfront work goes into this, building foundations to make sure that you have the required systems and processes in each step of the funnel and process, right? Whether it's design, right, in doing narratives, to doing layouts, to doing circuiting, to doing notations, annotations on the drawings, to doing schedules and final load calcs, right? That whole process is a continuum that, again, hit each bottleneck of the equation. And once you're able to do that, then you can, again, you have a system and a process for each place in the whole system of design. And then you're able to transfer that knowledge on to the next person. So welcome to 2024, guys. Happy New Year. Thank you for listening to the Construction Corner podcast. And until next time,